2, 1. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is there something stopping you from taking that next step in your life? Is there something blocking you from being happy? Well, then you should check out BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online service that will connect you with one of their professional personal counselors in under 48 hours. Their counselors are specialized in many areas, including stress, anxiety, anger, and depression. You'll be able to schedule weekly video or phone sessions with your counselor in a safe and private online environment. BetterHelp is also more affordable and a more convenient option than the traditional in-person counseling. We here at the 2-on-1 podcast want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/listener. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/listener.
Lads, we're back.
Hello, guys.
Adam, Daniel, we're back. Hello.
That take was good?
That was perfect.
Yeah.
All right, take 4 to start the show. Love to see it, guys. How are we?
Oh, we're
Good.
pretty good. How are
Yeah.
you?
I thought we were just going to go, this is the first time we're doing this.
It absolutely
No, we're
was.
not. No, we're not going to lie to the people.
No,
No.
that's not journalistic.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not.
We're a public service.
I wouldn't say we're a service, but I think we're...
We're within the public interest. I remember that. I always
No.
remember that from first year.
Oh, I remember. Public interest is one of those debates that I never want to have because it's completely subjective. But anyway.
Or news values. I remember that was a big one in the quizzes.
It's just making me roll my eyes. How could you? Some things you're just like, man, can we just be common sense rule about this? But sometimes the world doesn't work like that. Anyway, a lot of stuff to get into today, eh, lads? A lot of hockey, a lot of stuff. We can talk about the Habs. You know what? Back-to-back games, going to overtime to get some good teams. Ignore the shot totals. We will. More players are hurt because that's the way it works. The Leafs did not blow a lead.
No, they
Kind of
didn't.
sad that those are the standards, but we will talk about that. Love to see it. We're going to talk a bit about the deadline. Going to talk about some teams. I want to speak mainly on Philly and Seattle, interesting enough. We're going to steal the STP's idea, and we're going to do a fantasy draft a little later. I'm really excited for that. Some other trade deadline stuff and, trade targets, reports, and all that. But I want to open the show, gentlemen, talking about the Edmonton Oilers. I'm not going to lie. I was really hoping they were going to lose last night. And when Lucic made it 2-0, I thought, there we go. But the Oilers stormed back. Mikko Koskinen played really well.
Yeah.
Made a lot of big saves. Leon Draisaitl with the game winner. Brendan Perlini scored, and the bench were loving it.
Because he's the happiest guy on the team.
He is. I think he might be the only happy person on the team.
Yeah.
There's a lot still wrong with the Oilers, which we will speak about, but I think it's a good way to start by saying they've gotten something. And seeing that bench and Dave Tippett smile at the end of that game was good for morale in Edmonton, and boy, do they need it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, I remember, and I'm in Jim Benning's press conference, how he said, we just need to start winning. That's kind of what needs to happen here. And especially when you're going off against a provincial rival, to get a win like that, I think is good for the team overall. It doesn't change much in terms of how they're constructed, but I think to get back on track for this team, it does involve winning right now.
I love how there was so much serendipity there when we mentioned the guys who have spoken to the media, who are the guys under the microscope, and the 3 people we just mentioned here, who Adam mentioned. Mikko Koskinen did well. Brendan Perlini scored. Remember when he said, when is it going to get better? Next game.
And then they lost 6-0.
Yes. But then, he saw the future. And then Leon Draisaitl scored. So I think that this is a start. I'm not going to get too excited about this, but it is a start of what they need to do to get back on track.
Pretty sure they put Koskinen and Draisaitl in the same post-game press conference too. I didn't watch it, but I saw the image and like, that's funny. That's really, really funny.
Did Hockey Hall of Fame member Jim Matheson
I'm
ask a
sure
question?
he asked a question. I'm sure it has been. Well, their last press conference, remember, Mark Spector made the point of saying Draisaitl he's being very professional, very, very kind, very, very courteous here, realizing he needs to be a leader right now. It didn't help that going into that game, him and Steele Connor technically haven't scored in 2022. Did you know?
I did not know that. I found
Yeah,
that out last night before the game.
Yeah, it's brutal. Quite brutal. Another reason they really needed to win that game is obviously a few days ago, they go against the Florida Panthers, a game that they were controlling the start. They were doing great. And then it just fell apart. Koskinen wasn't great in that game. And you knew things were looking bad because multiple pieces of Oilers merch were thrown on the ice. I don't know if they were actually jerseys. They look like very solid colors. I wonder if they were shirts or something.
Flags, maybe.
Maybe, but what's funny is watching that. Louis DeBrusque was talking about, man, first off, that person apparently who threw their jersey sat back down. They didn't even leave. So what were security doing? Not to mention, we've talked about it before. Why are you doing it during play? I know at least some of the merch was done on play. I thought that was kind of stupid of them to do. But not to focus like too much on that game, but it was needed going into a Saturday night game against, Battle of Alberta. They needed to win it. But what were you going to say there, Alex?
No, I was going to say, did you see Brad Marchand commented on, I want to say, I don't remember which account it was. I want to say it was Spin Chicklets had posted the video of the jerseys being thrown on the ice. And Brad Marchand, who's been on an absolute tear in 2022, says this is why, or something along the lines
fans will wonder why.
Fans will wonder why Leon and Connor won't resign or something like that. And it's like, I mean, probably.
Has it happened in Boston? Like a jersey thrown? No. Or at least in this era?
I doubt that. They've only ever heavily booed. I don't think they've ever done that.
Yeah.
I mean, more stuff has come from players going after fans. Mike Milbury, how are you? Than I think fans to players. Because think about it. Okay, so you're going to throw a jersey on the ice. Boo McDavid. Throw a jersey on the ice in Boston a couple of years ago and Charge turns around and looks at you like, hey, you want to do that again? You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. Lucic back in the day, no, thank you. No, thank you.
No.
Thomas Cabriolet,
I mean, there's a little bit of a gap there, Dan. A little bit of a gap there. They still need a goalie for the Oilers. I think before the game started, I think originally Mark Spector said that Holland had told him Mike Smith is not close to coming back.
Wow.
So this was reported on 32 Thoughts Hockey Night in Canada edition, the smoothest we've ever said what that title is. The Oilers are being careful of the cost for goalies. If they could have done something for a late round pick, they would have done it lately. This is from Friedman. And I think they actually specifically mentioned they don't want to give up a first. Fair enough. A second or a third, which I was thinking, man, I know probably Martin Jones isn't the best option, but you're not going to throw a third for Martin Jones. You know what I mean? If you're going to pay a premium for anything right now, you have some good defensemen or 8 good defensemen in there. Bouchard had 2 last night. That's a guy of the future. You have your core forwards locked up. Thinking about this, if the Oilers are going to pay a premium for anything, I'd actually do it on the goalie. But I just hearing like you don't want to give up a third. What?
It sounds like Edmonton is trying to not look desperate. And I think that's what it comes down to. And, go back to that Holland press conference that screamed, I'm trying not to be desperate, but I'm actually desperate because we all know the situation he's in. And I think I agree with him in a sense in terms of like, what's bringing in Martin Jones going to do? I think why don't you try Stuart Skinner? Like I've been reading some of Oilers Twitter, the good ones, and it seems like they haven't given Stuart Skinner a proper shot. And how are you supposed to know what you have in a guy if you don't at least give him a proper shot rather than going out and spending a draft capital on a guy who's probably going to be gone in the next season, for sure.
You want Skinner's numbers this year?
Sure.
11 games played. He's 4-6 with a .907 save percentage. Mikko Koskinen, 22 games played, 13, 8-1. That's funny. With an .898. So he's been better. I remember during the press conference, I'm pretty sure he was asked specifically about Stewart, and he basically said he redirected it to, he's coming along, but Smith and Koskinen. I don't know why, but Smith and Koskinen. Ooh, love to see
It's weird to me that because usually a third is because I'm thinking of like maybe a David Riddick type of trade from last year, where that's usually a standard thing for a pending UFA, borderline 1B kind of goalie. And I don't know what, like another thing I'm thinking about is like, what does Ken Holland want? Like a Devin Dubnyk 50% retained for like a conditional 7th?
That might be a future gold medalist, Devin Dubnyk, I'll have you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, maybe it's what's Friedman's famous saying: when you're in this situation, GMs throw you anchors, not life rafts. But if you're Ken Holland, man, I've been around long enough where I think GMs should know not to mess with me. Unless the one trying to gouge him is Lou Lamoriello, then in that case, well, that sucks. I'm thinking about stuff like that. We do have the big board is coming back. We started it. There are some goalies on there. So watch out for that. Jake Allen's probably not going to be an option anymore because he's out for 8 weeks. God damn it.
Brutal.
So again, I can't go with that. Anything on the Oilers we want to touch on, or shall we move on?
No, I've said my piece in like the last 4 episodes. No need in repeating myself.
I think they're going to make a big move.
Really?
And Ken Holland's going to overpay like he usually does at the deadline.
What's the move?
It's going to be something like it's going to be a defenseman.
Okay.
I think so. I'm calling it. I think it's going to be a defenseman. I don't know a specific name yet, but I'm just looking back on before this episode, I looked back on his past trade history where he tried to keep the Red Wings afloat. And I'm like, okay, if you're not going to trade draft capital now, I looked back on his old trades and I said, okay, you gave up like 2 prospects, a second and a third for a 34-year-old Eric Cole, who played like a few games for you.
See, if McDavid and Draisaitl turn around and can get them back on the ship towards the deadline, prices are going to readjust around the league. Like the general market will form. And you could think, remember how the Detroit wanted a first for Bernier, didn't get it, held on to him. You can think that's probably going to happen. Goalies rarely really go for firsts. I'm trying to think anyway. So if you just unless there's just an example right off the top of my head, but so these are some of the guys I wrote down that are available. Jonas Korpisalo, who apparently they don't like. Weird. Fleury, would he want to go? Braden Holtby is an interesting one. Obviously, Canadian guy. We just got to make sure he can get his turtles back and forth over the border. Martin Jones, Alexander Georgiev has been floated a lot out there, but if I'm the Rangers, no, that's a draft move. Semyon Varlamov is the one I think a lot of people are saying makes sense. And then another one that's been out there, even though I wouldn't touch him, Antoine Khudobin. Okay, and you mentioned defenseman, Ben Sherratt. Or, I think Alex made the suggestion, Mark Giordano. Or was that you, Dan? Who made that joke?
No, that was Daniel. That was
where I'm like, why not? He's used to the area. The Kraken are not going to do anything.
Nick Leddy's out there too. Maybe if Detroit are like trade you or hold on. If I'm Detroit though, I wonder if you just hold on to him because you need some players.
Or Nick Leddy to Edmonton, Ken Holland, Steve Yzerman reconnect.
That's true. And then somehow I don't know. McDavid goes the other way because Yzerman does what he wants. You guys want to do this fantasy draft then?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll do snake draft because we're just complete cop-outs here. I'm sorry, Steve, but we're completely ripping you.
I'd like to say that I loved his list, Steve Dangles. He didn't have a goalie.
That was hilarious to listen to. Well, because they changed the rules mid-flight.
That's not fair. It's not fair.
Okay, so here's how I understand it. So for argument's sake, let's say Alex has first pick, I have second, Daniel goes third. Yep. So the order would go Alex, me, Daniel, then Daniel, me, Alex.
And then me again.
Alex again.
Yep.
So I would theoretically always be in the middle.
Correct.
Okay, so
can I ask a question?
Yes.
In terms of are we trying to create like a full lineup? So 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, a goalie. Is that what your plan is?
Yes. Goalie, 2 defensemen, 3 forwards.
Awesome.
And the philosophy you take is yours and yours alone.
Yep.
I think at the end we can explain our thinking. So we'll do a coin flip competition. Hopefully it goes really well first. Okay. Alex and Daniel, who claims what?
I claim heads.
Okay, I'll take tails.
God, oh goodness gracious. Oh no. Alex has won.
Okay.
He moves on to the finals.
Okay.
Between me and Daniel, what do you want?
I will get Heads.
Oh God, oh goodness, oh gracious, oh man, oh geez, oh God.
Oh,
I completely forgot. What did you actually say?
I said heads.
Daniel said heads.
Okay, so I have third overall.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay.
Oh,
I guess it's
third overall, Montreal.
Yeah, that worked out so well. I don't know if we give Alex the first overall pick because he already beat you, or do we just go for the sake of it?
We'll go for the sake of it.
Okay, Alex, since you won, I'll give you the choice to pick.
I'm gonna pick heads.
It's heads. All right, the official draft order is Alex will get the first overall pick. Second overall will go to Daniel, and I am stuck with third. All right, I'm going to write us down on a little Google Excel sheet here.
Awesome.
And
then just send it to me after so I can also rip off Jesse Blake's wonderful graphic.
Oh, goodness gracious. Ignore my messy desktop with Master Chief. Okay, Alex, you have the first overall pick.
Yes,
Who are you going to select?
I'm going to select Connor McDavid.
I would like to get your thinking on this. Why would you select Connor McDavid?
Okay, well, I mean, he's the best player currently, in my opinion. And for the future, for now, it's just perfect.
Okay, Daniel, who is your selection?
I'm just gonna make it fun. Leon Draisaitl.
What?
Wow.
You're taking Leon Draisaitl. Why are you taking Leon second? Hello?
Did we lose him?
Oh, yeah, we still there. Daniel,
no,
Daniel, hello?
Hello.
Why would you take Leon Draisaitl second?
I have hope. The same way Alex does with McDavid bouncing back.
Okay.
Back.
Yes.
With the third overall pick, I'm taking Austin Matthews.
Oh, that's smart. Wow, that's surprising, actually. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you were going to guess Perry.
No.
No.
That is actually, you know what? I'm actually very surprised you took Austin Matthews. Can I just say?
Because McKinnon?
Yeah.
Yeah, McKinnon needs to score nearly 50 goal pace.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Also, he's younger, Matthews. So I kind of need it. I needed this very badly. Also, I want my locker room to feel comfortable eating sweets.
Also, you do go back to back, so you.
Yeah. Okay.
You could also take.
I have to
Nathan
stop
McKinnon.
sharing because I don't want you guys to see my draft list.
Okay.
This is very important to me. Okay. So I have a strategy. Like I have a strategy to my list here.
Okay.
I'm hoping you guys don't pick up on here. Okay, but if I'm going second, what do I want? I gotta find my draft list. Give me a moment here. This is exciting, guys. If only we could do this playing together on NHL. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. With the fourth overall pick, I'm going to select defenseman. I'm going to take Cale Makar.
Oh, I thought he would drop to me.
No, absolutely. If I had Cale I was going to take Cale Makar after my centerman any day of the week. Okay, Alex, go ahead.
Daniel, it's Daniel.
That's opposite. Gee, this sucks. Okay, Daniel, who are you picking?
Alexander Ovechkin.
You're taking
That's a
Ovechkin.
good pick.
Yeah.
Fifth overall. He goes.
Oh,
Just fell out. Whoops a daisy. Alex, who are you going sixth? Why I figure this out?
yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with because I have back-to-back picks, so I'm just gonna select my two guys. I'm gonna select Adam Fox and Igor Shesterkin.
Still figuring out my mic. Okay.
Okay, I'll keep going. I'll explain.
First off,
Yeah, I'll explain.
and your goalie over Vasilevsky. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you did the Boston Bruins back-to-back picks. 2015.
You know what? I took the chance on Igor Shesterkin. I really like what he's done this year. And Adam Fox is, I mean, in my head, he is a top defenseman. He's in that top three for sure. But I think I'm gonna go with Adam Fox for right now. I have a strategy here, and I'm gonna go with Adam Fox.
Go ahead, Daniel. You know what? I'll finish this without my mic and finish it.
Okay,
Sorry if it sounds like
you're
crap.
next.
Oh man, this is tough.
Eighth overall, Daniel. Who are you going with?
I'm gonna get
So that's
Jonathan.
Sorry, you're going to say John. Sorry, I completely.
Jonathan Huberdeau.
Okay, may we get your thinking into taking Huberdeau?
I mean, like, I think, and I'm not just using the Alex Baumgartner bias here, but he is lighting it up this year, 55 points in 41 games. And I think him and Kadri are the ones that they're not spoken about enough in terms of, I guess, for this year, the top tier guys.
I think that's fair. I don't know why I'm talking into my mic. It's not working. Whoops, daisy. Okay, so just for people, I'll tell what the rosters are after I do this. Okay, so my goalie, I'm going Andre Vasilevsky. I obviously you don't have to pick the goalie here, but I'm going Vasilevsky for my third pick. Okay, so here's how the order looks so far. Alex, you have McDavid, Fox, Shesterkin. Daniel, you have Draisaitl, Ovechkin, Huberdeau. I have Matthews, Makar, Vasilevsky. Okay, so, and I go next, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute here. Okay, with the 10th overall pick, I feel really good about this.
Okay.
With the 10th overall pick, I'm taking Alex Barkov. My strategy was if I got a defenseman, a center, and a goalie, if I had Barkov left, I'd be fine. So I'm taking Alex Barkov.
So is Barkov going to play on the wing, or is Matthews going to play on the wing?
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Whoever has a better, who's ever having a better night. Probably Barkov because he's the Selke Trophy winner.
Yeah, good choice,
Yeah.
Daniel.
I think I got to go out of necessity here, so I will take Victor Hedman.
Victor Hedman, he's very old. I think you just took Alex's pick.
That's okay.
Hedman, 11. Okay, who are you taking 12th, Alex?
I'm going to take Nikita Kucherov.
Wow. Okay. Good to know you're not going to have him for the regular season. Kucherov, 12th. Okay. And who are you taking 13th?
Mark Stone.
Stone.
Oh, that's a good
Off
one.
the board pick. I need my
board.
defensive forward.
That's not bad. Okay, Daniel, this is going to be your last pick. Who is going to be? No, it's not. It is your last pick. Never mind. Who is going to be your final player?
Is it?
It's going to be, and this is not a bias thing, but I'm going to have to pick John Gibson.
You're choosing John Gibson.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to read something to you. These are some of the goalies this is my list 1 to 5. The fifth one's kind of tricky. Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Saros, Demko, and Hart. And you're taking probably Gibson over Carter Hart there. Okay. And it is because we're going 5, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, wait. It is 6. I'm a liar. Ignore me. I'm dumb. Okay. So for 15th overall and my 5th selection, my second, I guess I get to do both, don't I? Okay. Oh, this is huge. Okay, give me a minute. So I need another defenseman. I need a forward, right? Okay, for my last forward, I'm gonna take Kirill Kaprizov.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm happy about Kaprizov 15th. I'll take in a heartbeat. Okay, and then for defenseman, I'm taking Devin Taves.
Oh, that's a good show.
The straight Colorado.
Yeah. No, I feel good about that. I feel good about Devin Taves. I had some other lefty there, but I'm fine with Taves. Go ahead, Daniel. You're 17th.
I will take Roman Josi.
Oh, I had Josi as an insurance pick. Very good. Alex, your last selection here.
I'm going to go with Jacob Slavin.
I knew you were going to go Slavin. I knew it. Okay, so here's how we've shaped up. Alex.
Yeah.
Oh. That's really weird. I didn't do anything and my mic started working again. Does that sound good?
Yeah, you're good.
Wait, your MIC mic or your MIKE mic?
This mic. Okay, so this is how I'm assuming your lineup goes. Alex, in net, you have Igor Shesterkin.
Yes, I do.
Your defensive pair is Jacob Slavin and Adam Fox.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And your forward line is McDavid with Kucherov and Mark Stone.
Yeah.
Daniel, you have Alex Ovechkin, right? Leon Draisaitl, Jonathan Huberdeau. You have 2 left defensemen with Hedman and Josi, but they're pretty good. And John Gibson in the cage.
That's a good team.
So on the back end, I have Vasilevsky in goal, Devin Taves with Kale Makar, And then my top line is Matthews, Barkov, and Kaprizov.
Oh, nasty.
I'm pretty happy about
These
that.
are all such good teams.
That's a great starting lineup. You literally cannot lose any games with it. So I think if we go through our thinking here, who wants to start with how they approach this draft?
I can go first. Well, I mean, I think I did a mix of, winning now and winning in the future, maybe with the exception of Jacob Slavin and Mark Stone. And like I don't know, like they're all so good now, and that I still got a few years left in my cup window. But you got Stone, the defensive forward, who can also put up points. You got McDavid, who's freaking Connor McDavid, and Nikita Kucherov, who's just Nikita Kucherov. But I think if I go on my back end, I got Slavin, who's defensively responsible, and you got Adam Fox. And I think with having Jacob Slavin there, you can let Adam Fox shine offensively. And Igor Shesterkin has just been an elite goaltender all season, and I think he's going to be an elite goaltender for the foreseeable future.
Go ahead, Dan. What's your thinking?
Okay, for me, I'm going to put Ovi, Hedman, and Yossi in a category of tried and true consistency. So the guys that even as they are in their 30s or, approaching their 30s, that they've just shown it that they could be winners, that they could be guys that you can rely on. Like Ovechkin has not slowed down. I arguably think this is the best Ovechkin we've had in the last 3 years. And I think with Yossi, it is a crime he is not in the All-Star game.
Yeah, no, he's been sensational, especially the last 2 years. Okay, so my thinking here, I'm actually going to show you guys my list so I can go through this. So I put a list together of younger guys, except Yossi. I think he may be my oldest guy. And I thought, this is my priority. Now, I took Ovechkin off the list because he's old. I took Sidney off the list because I want to compete. To quote Ken Hughes, I want a team that's going to compete for a long number of time. Vasilevsky's 27. Taves is 27. My lefty I was kind of unsure of. I thought of taking Heiskanen, but the thing with Taves is he's just been so good and he works so well with Makar. I took a team candidate approach. So as you can see, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, that was my list for goalies. The lefty you can see there. Hughes was an honorable mention because I thought it'd be funny with Makar. Yeah. My right D, McAvoy. I thought if McAvoy or Ekblad were my please if I don't get Makar or Fox, but I'd be happy with either of them. And then there's just some of the forwards there. Pasternak would have been up there. Daniel, you really threw a curveball up there getting Leon Draisaitl second. I didn't think you'd do that, but thank you for giving me Matthews. I appreciate that a lot. Wait, did none of us take McKinnon?
No.
Oh. I just realized that.
Oh goodness. Oh, that's
taxi
embarrassing.
He'll be on the taxi squad.
I don't feel bad. Bad.
I actually feel awful about that.
That's what I didn't
realize.
You know what? I had McKinnon on my list, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way that I'm gonna get McKinnon.
Yeah, same.
Because you were gonna get. Because I just assumed you were gonna take McKinnon, like with your first pick.
I thought the same thing too. That's why I didn't take McKinnon.
That threw me for a curveball there.
I kind of wish I didn't take Kaprizov now. And then I would have had McKinnon, Makar, and Taves. I'm actually really upset about that.
I know. I was going to take Kaprizov. I was about to do a Daniel favored list again, but I held back.
I can't believe neither of us took Crosby or McKinnon. I'm a little embarrassed. Anyway.
I love my team.
When you post this, Alex, can you make it clear that we completely forgot? Also, I just realized I closed it without saving it, so we're gonna have to go back and find it.
Just remember your list in your mind.
Lads, we're back. Okay, so we immediately realized we did not draft Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah. No.
And we're a little embarrassed about it. So
a little bit.
I think we all knew McDavid was gonna go 1. Even though Alex just said to me he wanted to take Matthews. Okay, Daniel.
Yes.
If McDavid was available, would you still have gone Draisaitl? Please tell me you were going to pick McDavid.
Yeah, probably. That's the most obvious one, but
okay.
I don't know. Leon Draisaitl one, it just fit for me. I don't know. It just
fair enough. I'll take Matthews. But yeah, no, we completely forgot about Nathan McKinnon. The other two thought I would take him if he was available. And then I think after the first round, we just completely forgot he existed. So sorry, Nathan McKinnon, but you're cut.
Yeah.
So now we were joking, if we do a full draft from our current teams, we do another flip and we hope one of us gets first overall. Well, it's only going to be us, but whoever gets first overall is basically going to pick up Nathan McKinnon, and it's going to be hilarious. But yeah, please don't yell at us. You probably will, but yeah, I can't wait.
You know what happened? When you mentioned the diet and the locker room thing with that, I'm like, oh no, I don't want that on my team. Ovechkin, remember his pregame meals? Ovechkin eats like, I forgot, he eats like a family-sized portion of pasta with chicken breast and mushroom sauce. I remember he mentioned that, and that's his pregame meal. And then a lot of the younger players that came in at Washington who are more into, like, I guess, the modern diets for athletes said, like, I don't know how Ovi eats that before a game. I'd be having a nap if I was him.
There was this number. It was like I think it's since like maybe he was drafted the leading goal scorers in the league, and it's like him, a significant drop off, and Crosby in that. And then they showed the hits, and he had like 3,000. I think he was at like 3,000 hits, and he was like he was 2,500 ahead of second. And he has stayed this healthy and is currently tied with Kreider for the league in goals. He's 7 away from Yager, by the way.
Wow.
Oh,
We're
That's
getting this.
Incredible. Talking about Washington's organization, more talking about the AHL team. The Hershey Bears had the teddy bear toss yesterday, and it continues to be so freaking cool. I love the teddy bear toss. I saw like Zach Fucale and that we're jumping on. This is from the NHL, just doing a little bit of nugget from the teddy bear toss. A new record, a world record, 52,341 stuffed animals were tossed on the ice. I love that.
That's so adorable. Many animals.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great. Looking around the league, guys, as we know, I believe it's Monday, March 21st is the NHL trade deadline. So anyone listening, you need to get ready because your Twitter feed will now be full of rumors and fake Twitter accounts trying to fool you with fake trades. So remember, check the username, look for the blue check mark, make sure it's not an emoji. That's a good trick. I've been tricked by a few of those lately. Haven't went to the group chats yet, so that's good. First off, we're going to start with JT Miller because all of a sudden it sounds like he's on his way out of Vancouver, which is insane.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like, and Frank Saravilli was on the Jeff Merrick show talking about this, the Rangers seem to be interested in a reunion.
That would be,
I could see that. Yeah. They need a more center depth. So why not?
They've talked about that. Apparently they want a forward and a defenseman in New York. I didn't realize until I was putting my notes together. The Rangers are all of a sudden seem to be in on everything. Also reported they're interested in Jake DeBrusk. That could possibly be another Krapsov destination. The reason I say another one is because apparently amongst the apparently legitimate offers the Coyotes have for Jacob Chikrin, we know that the prize is a young player, a prospect, and a first rounder. The Rangers have interest, and their offer also includes Vitaly Krapsov. The Rangers are dipping their toe in every pool here.
Yeah, and I think, like, remember in the summer how, for part of it, they were very much in on Jack Eichel. And, that was going to take a specific amount of assets, and they never ended up trading for Jack Eichel. So, therefore, they still have those assets available. So the fact that they're in all these deals, to me, makes it seem like, they're going to make some moves, hopefully soon. And they're priming up for a playoff run, and that division is not going to be easy by any means.
This reminds me of the the stretch of 2012 to 2015 for the Rangers, where it was right before that era when they started to have that retool, but they were literally spending everything. They got Rick Nash, they got Brad Richards, they traded Marian Gaborik for like Derek Brassard and like a few guys like John Moore. And they were just throwing everything they could, no matter what, to make it to the playoffs and just go for a run. You could also even include, who's that guy they got there? Martin St. Louis. Remember that happened? Yep. So I think that the Rangers are just assessing the market, seeing what they can do and just going for it.
Yeah, asking me if I remember Marty St. Louis as a Ranger. Yeah, I remember him cherry picking on the face. Oh, God, get this guy. 2014. Yeah, Marty St. Louis. Goodness gracious, that guy. Pretty decent player. He's in the Hall of Fame now, right?
Yeah. Remember who's on Team Canada?
Oh, he cut it close. He cut it close. Stevie Wise said, yeah, it sucks to be you, man. Another team that's pretty interesting. The Philadelphia Flyers. This is something that's very impressive. The Flyers have lost their last 11 games. They've played 41 games, I should add. It is the second time this season they've had a losing/winless streak because the league is dumb. The second 10-game winless streak of the year for the Flyers. So if you're the Flyers and you're smart, as they should be, about the direction of your team, what pieces are you selling off at the deadline? Beside Claude Giroux, by the way, because that's too easy.
Rasmus Ristolainen.
That's another good one.
Get something for him, because I don't think it'll make sense. Well, I don't know. This is such a Flyers thing to do that they'll give him term and a certain set of money for the year, and they'll just kind of keep him there because they have that habit of doing that. But I think at this point, even if you're going to take a loss on it, just get something for him. It reminds me of like a Brandon Montour situation where the Sabres thought they had something going, and then they traded Brendan Gooley in a first-round pick for him. And then they realized, oh, okay, we can't re-sign this guy, and we're not going anywhere. Let's trade him for a third.
Alex?
I don't know what much else they have to sell off that is in terms of being a UFA. Like, I look at their decor, you got Justin Braun and Keith Yandel, who is a UFA at the end of the year, as well as Martin Jones. It's just, yeah, like those are the three obvious guys that we haven't talked about yet, where, you know, I look at someone like last season where it was Ben Hunt who got traded for what, like a fifth. Like, you're trading Keith Yandel and Justin Braun. Maybe you'll get a little bit more than what Anaheim got for Ben Hutton, but there's no one on that team to me that's a UFA this year who says, wow, I'm going to get this package. Like, it's just not there for them right now.
Wonder if what they're looking like at the draft. Like, do they look at Provorov?
Oh, wow.
Because I'm not convinced Provorov's as good as we all think he is.
He's like kind of like a just you wait kind of guy still, but I'm like, he's already 24, 25.
Because what was it? The Niskanen thing broke his back. I don't know if Matt Niskanen going should completely break your back. I understand what he does, but again, yeah, he could be wicked in 2 years because he's a defenseman. They always take a little longer. Not goalie long, but they get there. But do they do that? Do they look at seeing what that returns like? That's sort of a bit of a wild card move there, but Sam Moran, you would hope would get moved because, my goodness, it's been a roller coaster for him there.
I think maybe one name we haven't been talking about is, and this might be more as a draft move, as you were saying, is JVR.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has this year and next year, $7 million. If you retain on that, I'm sure someone will take him at 3.5, even for a year. I don't know I think so many teams are just in cap hell at the moment that to find a way to make that work in the middle of the season just seems almost impossible to me.
Yeah, for me, I think that he's definitely getting moved. And before I started looking at a lot of the cap situations for teams, I thought he would be a consolation prize to a possible Phil Kessel deal. But seeing that he has a year left, I think that JVR will get traded. The Flyers will trade him, but I think it's going to be a draft day trade, or it's going to be something in the offseason.
You talk about the difficulties of trading. We know the way the cap is looking across the league. Trades aren't going to be easy to make. Half the teams right now in the league, exactly half, are spilling into LTIR. The 16 who aren't have less than, 5 of the 16 who aren't have less than $5 million in cap space. And then that's not even asking how many teams would probably be eager to take in cap space. One of the remaining 11 teams with substantial cap space is Seattle. I think it's around 12 or 13 million. They valued cap space very much when they were going through the expansion draft. Are they going to weaponize that space at the deadline? Because if they don't, I really need to know what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't see why not. They can be the middleman in a way. We've seen it in the past, but I think they also have some assets that you might be able to sell off. I mean, we talked about Mark Giordano, but up front, two guys that stand out to me are Kalle Järnkrok and Marcus Johansson. If you're not willing to re-sign them, or it's just too expensive that you don't think it's worth it, again, those are options.
Boy, Callie, as Marshall would say.
I think, yeah, that makes sense for them to where they are right now. It'd be nice for them to maybe be a broker team, just get a few assets here, in exchange for using their cap space, helping teams out, because I don't know, they're still in that foundational phase with things where it's not completely, it's not hopeless, but I'm just saying that it's at a point where I know what kind of approach they're trying to do there.
I think they got to be a big player at the deadline. Cap space is useless if you don't use it, even if it's waiting to use it. I think of Mark Bergevin a lot there. They say that cap space is a weapon. Seattle, that was a big thing Ron Francis talked about at the expansion draft. Specifically, I remember they asked, I want to say it was right after they took Cale Fleury from Montreal. And the crowd was very disappointed at that event because everyone wanted them to take the BC boy and Carey Pro. Everyone except me wanted it to happen. And Ron Francis made the point of saying we weapon and we value cap space. Seattle, I think, need to do something good, whether it's being a middle team, whether it's taking a bad contract. Arizona did it perfectly on the offseason. I think Seattle needs to be there because we haven't really talked about them this year on the show, but man, they've been underwhelming. They haven't been in as many games. I know they've had a hot streak here, a hot streak there, but in such a mediocre Pacific Division that has had the mess that the Canucks were, the Oilers being the Oilers, I expected more. And there is a fundamental issue there with goaltending. And I know a lot of people rip Grubauer for where he was. He's always been on good teams. That's a guy whose save percentage has always been above league average. And all of a sudden, he's just pooped off in Seattle. That's worrying to me. And not to mention he's locked up. So the cap space they have used on one player in particular is a bit concerning already. Goaltending is pretty important.
That's what I'm thinking about too. Yeah. What I'm thinking about this team too, just a lot of the guys they gave term to where I think these are great players, but I don't think that these are the focal point kind of guys where you should be giving the money to, where I look at their back end and, Jimmy Olesiak and Adam Larson, or even up front, you have Alex Wenberg and Jaden Schwartz.
What did they give Wenberg again? Like $5 million?
They gave him 4.5 for 3 years.
Oh no, come on. That's
after his bounce back season in Florida.
I wonder if you could get something good for McCann. I wonder if you can get something for Jared McCann.
Yeah, he's an RFA at the end of the year.
Who needs a good depth center? Everyone needs a depth center. Pretty much
everyone.
The Leafs.
Literally every team in the league could use it.
No, I think Seattle is looking to be like a traditional expansion team in terms of what their performance is on the ice. Mm-hmm. The moves maybe they made in the offseason didn't necessarily reflect that per se, but it's just what's happening right now is that they do not look great.
Because I'm looking at this team now, and when the Golden Knights, a lot of it was a surprise, but you had Marc-Andre Fleury as that marquee guy where you sell it to the market and say, that's your guy. Who's their guy? Who's Seattle's guy?
Oh, they had the chance to have a few of them. Yeah, is it Jordan Eberly? Is it Tanev? Who is
Mark Giordano?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, Vegas also had a really good coach. And Hackstall, I don't know if he's a good coach.
I think, another thing that's different from Vegas. Like, I think you can argue Mark Giordano is the Marc-Andre Fleury of this team, but he's not the Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, he's not. Like, Pittsburgh were coming off back-to-back cups, and whether or not he was integral in the playoffs is meaningless. Like, was a damn good goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins for countless years. Mark Giordano, no offense to Mark Giordano, was not that level of good in his position. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
Not
I mean, like,
until
other than the
later in his
Norris,
career.
later in his career,
It took a while. It took a
Right.
while.
Yeah, it did. And I think what Vegas had that Seattle didn't is that there was just this large group of players who it felt that they were, in a sense, rejects from their previous team. And I don't know if we necessarily have that same coming together that we did with Vegas.
That's a good point, because there were guys showing up at that draft like Eberly and Tanev who physically showed up and they were happy. They loved to be there. It's Seattle. Woo woo woo.
That's what I thought of. Because for me, the biggest one, I thought this was going to be the storyline was Jordan Eberly, where he signs long term with the Islanders after being rejected by the Oilers, and Lou Lamoriello protected Matt Martin over him.
People don't talk about that enough. Wasn't the whole perfection line?
Yeah, they were protected over.
No, it's not perfect. It's the identity line.
The identity line, yes.
Yeah. But that's a perfect 80s line, I should say. But yeah, a lot to keep an eye on in Seattle. Do you guys know who leads the league in points right now?
Alexander Ovechkin.
I think so. Is it?
Him and Draisaitl, 58 points.
Wow.
So I'd mention that. McDavid's at 55 along with Huberdeau. Kadri 51. Stamkos 50. Kaprizov's up there 47. The best goals against average in the league is Charlie Lindgren, 1.22. Don't know how many games he's played. Doesn't count. Freddie Anderson's at the 2.03 if he makes you wonder. Adam Fox is there with 45 points. McCarr's at 38, but I feel like he missed time, and McCarr's also better, so who cares? Lucas Raymond's still at the top of the league for rookie scoring and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Just a quick look at scoring around the league.
But Trevor Zegras is getting there.
So is Lindell, man. Man, you talk about underrated players. People still don't. I know people are like, you remember how it was Backstrom was the most underrated player in the league, and eventually people stopped saying he was because we all know who. I think we still don't appreciate how good Backstrom really is. Like, let's all be really honest here. Do we? No, we don't. Barkov is still there because he should be in the All-Star game. And I feel like it's the same looking at a guy like, and not the same because he just got here. Antoine Lundell has been amazing this year, and it's not talked about that much. Maybe because it's been in more of a depth role, but Lundell's been good, man. Lundell's been really, really good. I still think it should be Seider. I know he's tailed off a little bit, but defenseman, much harder. I just, I think Zegras just got some publicity votes for just how skilled he's been. But, also Raymond not going to the All-Star game is how did that? I know I wasn't here for that episode, but there were a lot of snubs out of the
Who was the Detroit pick again for the All-Star game?
I think it was Larkin.
Okay.
Which I get because you can do it for fastest skater, but just invite him to do fastest skater. By the way, like fastest skater this year is going to be great.
Adam, you're talking about too much creativity, and I think the NHL
moving the dial too much.
The NHL has had about enough creativity for this year. Okay.
Well, they didn't put much creativity into their statement earlier today, did they?
No.
I'm just going to read something here, and maybe everyone can get where I'm going with this. This isn't going to be an easy topic to talk about, but it's one that's very important. Statement from the National Hockey League. This came out around midday Eastern time. It's now 1:30, so about an hour just over ago. 2 sentences. Quote, incidents of racism, whether they occur in hockey or anywhere else, are abhorrent. The NHL will continue to make its resources available to the hockey ecosystem to educate and inform with the goal of making the game welcoming and safe for all players and fans. 2 sentences. Now, why is that important, you may be asking? Over the past week, 2 major incidents have happened. Racist incidents. First off, during an AHL game between the San Jose Barracuda and the Tucson Roadrunners, respectively, the AHL teams of the Sharks and the Arizona Coyotes, A guy by the name of Christoph Habrick. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Doesn't deserve it. Forward. He made a racist gesture, to Boku Imama. That sounds familiar because this happened, a racial slur to him in 2020 from Brandon Manning in the AHL. All right.
2 years ago, I think, to the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I haven't found video of this. If you look it up on YouTube, it's really weird. You keep finding these, like, don't look it up on YouTube. You're not going to be able to find it. And the videos you end up finding are very strange. Anyway, Habrick has gotten 30 games through the incident. Also, yesterday in an ECHL game between the Jacksonville Icemen and the South Carolina Stingrays, a Jacksonville player by the name of Jack Pinata made a monkey-like gesture to Stingrays D, Jordan Subban. Now, Pinata currently is suspended indefinitely pending a hearing, which is fine work by the ECHL, but they're not off the hook. Alex will mention that in a second. So these two major events have happened. I believe Habrick he put out an apology. We're going to read that in a second. It wasn't great. Started off well, then just tailed off almost immediately. We'll be working with the NHL's inclusion program, stuff like people like Anson Carter in that. Before we dive into those incidents, and we're going to read PK Subban's tweet because he's defending his little brother, understandably so. For those two major events to happen, and you obviously what's going on with the HDA, and they called out more action like 2 weeks ago needed to take place, and that's the best the NHL can do. 2 sentences.
Also,
I don't know where we are.
Just to add, it's the same week that Willie O'Ree just got his number retired, and we had the discussion about it last episode, or did we? I don't remember if it happened in time for the last episode.
We mentioned it was a joke that in it, Willie O'Ree had thanked Gary Bettman and the league's work, but it was outrageous.
Oh, okay. Well, we brought it up, and literally the next episode, and we record every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
we have to have another discussion about this. It just seems kind of ridiculous.
For me, good on Jordan Subban. I've seen the video a few times circulating, but good on him that he was able to really defend himself, and he really was taking a stand with this, especially with his tweet. And I like the support that he's getting from not just the players, but also the media, like Elliot Friedman, Jeff Merrick. They also tweeted about it.
Yeah.
What was it to do with that stuff? To PK Subban's tweet, I think Friedman was like, "I want to put more attention here." So I want to say So Alex, the original ECHL segment. Was it originally the ECHL didn't mention the player's name?
So it mentioned the name. This is the ECHL statement. Okay. This was from, I want to say, a couple hours ago. The ECHL on Sunday announced that Jacksonville's Jacob Pineta has been suspended indefinitely pending a hearing under the collective bargaining agreement as a result of his actions in ECHL game number 474, South Carolina at Jacksonville on January 22nd. Pineta is suspended under Rule 28, supplementary discipline as a result of his actions at 23 seconds of overtime.
The problem is, so they named him, but they didn't say. They haven't mentioned, maybe that exact ruling is to do with unsportsmanlike conduct, probably racism, but they didn't show it. Now, and there is, unlike the Imama stuff, there's video of the Subban stuff, and you clearly see the other guy doing a slouched. It looks like he's trying to be an ape. It's just purely unacceptable. I'm going to read. Okay, so what would you guys like me to read first? Subban's tweets, or should I go to the apology and the Imama stuff?
I think.
Sorry, are we talking about the AHL stuff or ECHL stuff?
Let's start with the ECHL because PK got involved.
Okay.
Now here's what's interesting is PK Subban is. I don't think he's actually. He's not always super vocal about he rarely. I shouldn't say that because he's a very big presence on social media, but PK Subban I think has rarely gone on a rant, if ever. And listen, he's a very important figure in this game. And obviously he's been very publicly a big target of racism in the past. And I think you can definitely feel like the personal stuff here because it's his freaking little brother. So first off, he quotes the video of it happening and says, "They don't call the East Coast League the jungle because my brother and the other black players are the monkeys. Hey, Jacob Panada," he tags him. "You shouldn't be so quick to delete your Twitter or your Instagram account. You will probably be able to play again. That's what history says." But things, okay, hold on. He didn't, but things are changing. Now, not just the hockey world knows your true colors, your hometown of Belleville knows. Your family and friends know you're a fraud. With everything that has gone on in the past couple of years in the world, I'll say with all due respect to everyone who has an opinion, this isn't a mistake. We all know what's okay and what's not. Even your own teammate wanted to see your clock get cleaned. This happens a lot, and it never gets exposed in the lower leagues. One thing that I love about this is Jordan's teammates standing up in there and showing support. Love that, and then he just gives some shout outs on that. We don't see sort of veil down PK a lot, but that speaks it. One thing I want to say is I appreciate his teammates standing up for him as well. It just sucks that what has to happen is teammates have to step up here. Because I don't think it's a hockey thing, but I hate that racism has to be answered with physical force. I am in no way blaming Jordan Subban for going after the guy. Perspective, if that was me, I would have done it. And I can only imagine the stuff he's been through before. I'm a white guy. I have no idea what that's like, but it's probably not the first time it's happened to Jordan Subban or his family. We've heard stories of when PK was a kid. Yeah. Anything else on the ECHL stuff before I go to the Boku and Mama stuff?
So I just want to read the statement from the opposing team.
Please. Oh, yes, please.
I lost the what I don't remember what team he plays for. What team does Jordan Subban play for? I cannot remember.
He plays for the South Carolina Stingrays.
Okay, if one of I can't find their statement, but it's drastically different than the Jacksonville Icemen. This is the statement from the Jacksonville Icemen, by the way, affiliate of the New York Rangers. The Jacksonville Icemen are cooperating with the league review of the incident that occurred in last night's game against South Carolina. As an organization, our fans, partners, and sponsors know our core values, and we intend to make comments and decisions after completion of league review.
No. Daniel, do you have anything to add?
I think right now it's really early with what's going on with things that I already knew that this was going to be the expectation in terms of these statements, that the NHL always does this when it comes to these types of cases where it's like, oh, we have to, or like for this one, it's just for Jordan Subban. It's just, they're going to say, there's going to be internal investigation. We're going to see how things go. But I think this one's pretty clear cut in terms of the video, in terms of what happened, in terms of what's been spoken already. And again, like what we said before, what the NHL is doing, what these leagues have been doing, is that I'm not surprised on how things are going. But on one hand, I like that this is getting enough noise, especially through the Subban family, and that's being amplified through social media. Like, I think that was a very good thing that they did, but at the same time, I'm not anticipating much in terms of what the ECHL is going to do. I'm really not at this point. I'm just, if they do something, great. But if I'm going to predict anything, if I'm going to foreshadow anything, I think it's going to be a slap on the wrist, and it's disappointing for me.
Daniel, I don't know about that. If the AHL just hold up this 30-gamer to the AHL incident, I think the public pressure for this is going to be enormous, especially when PK is getting involved. So also, there's just two statements I want to read, because not only did the Stingrays, I found it, but it's the Stingrays one. I also had that of the Hershey Bears. Because the Stingrays are the ECHL team, I've just learned, of the Caps, and obviously Hershey to do or the middle ground. So first I'll read Hershey's statements. The Hershey Bears stand with Jordan Subban. We condemn acts of racism in all forms, including those gestures made towards Jordan during the South Carolina Stingrays game at Jacksonville on January 22nd. There should be no tolerance for racism in our game or our society. Diversity, equality, and inclusion are incredibly important to the Hershey Bears, and we offer our support to Jordan and the entire Stingrays organization. So this is the statement from the Stingrays. It's from their president, Rob Cancanet. The South Carolina Stingrays are disgusted and appalled by last night's incident involving Jordan Subban. The organization stands in support of our friend and teammate, Jordan, as well as all other players who continue to deal with racism and discrimination. This behavior has to stop and is unacceptable. At this point, and again, I think I made this point maybe last month when we talked about, I can't remember which incident exactly it was, but the Danishkin stuff overseas, that's one thing. With all the noise been around hockey and how it needs to get better culturally, gives even more weight to these incidents. And to go to the Boku Amama stuff.
Can I just, Do you mind if I just add some?
Yeah.
Because I think it pertains to both, but I think because the ECHL is at a lower level, I think just before we move on.
Yeah.
Not every team has an ECHL affiliate.
Yeah.
Both of these teams do.
Which that's plenty.
Which to me, and listen, I know there's going to I don't want to just pretend like I'm fighting with people online for no reason, but there's going to be a group of people who I know disagree with this. I very much believe that the NHL affiliates should somewhat be involved in both these incidences. I just think in terms of you running an organization properly, the top level, and when it comes to this, should be involved. I know people will disagree because they say business. This is business. I don't care. Don't people conflate business with being directly involved with money? Business is how a business is run, and that goes with every part of it. And I think very much this is part of running an organization that is a business.
Yeah, I agree. This is all part of the organizations with everything where they have to kind of show a sense of responsibility for it, saying, okay, this is part of our team and this is something that happens. So, it's on us, the Washington Capitals, to say that let's release a statement here, or the Hershey Bears, let's release a statement here. Let's actually say something immediately, and let's not just wait on it.
Let's definitely put some heart into it, unlike the NHL.
Remember when the Rangers last year put out the statement after the Tom Wilson stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't necessarily. It wasn't. It really wasn't. They didn't have to go public with that but they don't have to go public with this either. So, but they should.
Here's what's the thing about the ECHL, right? Is because of, again, as you mentioned, teams didn't. Michael McNiven, right? Had a hard time getting a spot in the AHL for Montreal, and there was a year where he played the ECHL. He had to be loaned. You got to fight for a spot there, and you're fighting not to get an NHL spot. You're fighting to get an AHL spot. And remember how at rookie tournaments every year there's one guy that gets hurt because some dummy brains a guy thinking that's going to get me a spot. If you're in the ECHL, you know what's really going to get you noticed? What's going to get you a spot? That stuff. Really? Give your head a shake. What a garbage human being. Sorry, to talk about the Boku Amana stuff. First off, I'm going to read the quote-unquote apology from Christoph Hrebeck. There's two different photos here, so just give me a second. I am ashamed of today's events and embarrassed by the actions that led to my suspension. I want everyone to know that I'm very sorry for what occurred and take full responsibility for my actions. Okay, first off, he mentions Amama's name later, doesn't mention him to start. But you know what? Overall, not a bad way to start the apology. Okay, whatever. People should know that I had absolutely no inappropriate intent. The gesture was made in the heat of battle. And while I didn't mean anything racist by what I did, I realize now through my own ignorance that my gesture could be interpreted. I alone am responsible for that. It was terrible, and I make no excuse. You just did. It was terrible. And I make no excuses. When I heard about Boko's reaction to the gesture, I was horrified by what I had done. Boko is a player I respect, and I am so sorry for putting him through this situation. I sent a personal apology to Boko and sincerely hope that he will forgive me. I also want to apologize to the American Hockey League, the San Jose Barracuda, the Tucson Roadrunners, and to my teammates for my unacceptable actions. I fully accept the consequences of my actions, and I'm not appealing the decision imposed by the AHL. I am working with Anson Carter, Kim Davis, and the NHL's Player Inclusion Committee to participate in education and training on racism and inclusion. I know I will be judged by my future conduct. If given the opportunity, I will do everything in my power to atone for my actions and lead by example. Listen, the end of that, I want to show I have receipts. Fine. The start of it, I'm sorry. No excuses. Fine. But then making excuses. Guys.
It's the middle part. It's like, it sounds like a whole different letter of what he was saying initially.
What in the world? Making a gesture like a monkey towards a person of color. What is that supposed to mean? What else am I supposed to interpret that as other than a racist action? What am I missing? I'm doing an English minor. I do a lot of creative, like reading and writing.
Yeah.
I know meanings between stuff, symbolism. There aren't a lot of different ways to interpret what you were doing, buddy. Please, guys, am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I was actually going to bring up that same point. Like, I'm just, he lost me in the middle. He completely lost me in the middle with that. Like, great, you're going to do all these things. And I think I'm all for second chances. And as long as he comes out with this, with the receipts, that middle part where it's like the intent, but what does that, like, what, I'm curious, as you said, what do you think that meant?
No,
like, what were you doing there? What
heat of the battle too?
Oh, that's such a lazy. That's a lazy excuse.
Yeah,
are you in the trenches of the Somme in World War I? What are you talking about?
That's a lazy excuse.
Sure, I read Boku Amama's statement.
Sure, yeah.
This is via Twitter. I've been dealing with situations like this my entire life. As a person of color playing youth hockey through junior and now twice as a professional, this keeps happening to me over and over again. We have enough to worry about as a pro hockey player, and it saddens me when anyone has to deal with these types of issues. It's frustrating and disheartening that this is still going on in 2022, sorry. Even though I honestly believe the sport has made positive strides, we still have a long way to go to educate the ignorant and to make hockey a safe place for everyone. My hope is that people learn from this and that that someday hockey will truly be for everyone. That's the last part. My hope is that people learn from this and that someday hockey is for everyone. Because it's from someone's personal experience explaining that it isn't, and no more proof than the last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I like that the AHL did? That the ECHL hasn't done yet, but they're making. Sorry, what's his name again? The offender.
You're on mute, Adam.
Christoph Hrebeck?
Yes, him. He's going through the NHL's diversity program. That's smart. That's what I've been asked. That's what we've been saying should be done in these incidences, having these programs set up.
Anything else, guys? Or should we move on? Do better. Do better, people.
You know what? I don't know if I'm asking for too much here, but remember in the bubble when not the George Floyd. My God, I don't. What happened after George Floyd?
Breonna Taylor? Or
No, when they did the press conference during the Black Lives Matter protest.
Oh yeah.
When the NBA canceled like a few days of games.
Yeah.
And then the NHL had their press conference, and at the front was each conference had different players, but in the West it had about almost everybody was there. And then in the East it was the four. It was just the
captains
four
of each team. Yeah.
It was like, I think I'd hope for this time around, we have a response similar to what the West did. In terms of just people speaking out, not just the people of color speaking out, because that doesn't clearly that hasn't gotten us anywhere, because these incidents are happening time and time again. If we just had, like the leaders of the game, whether it's in the NHL, AHL, or ECHL, speak out about this and say, hey, this is wrong, that would be extremely helpful.
I can't wait till McDavid says it is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
He's too busy losing the care, probably. I can't wait till the NHL put hashtag end racism on the Jumbotron and we get a crappy video package for a week. What was it? They just did it for that round?
Yeah, and it just said end racism. Yeah, on the Jumbotrons.
Bush League. And then the HD, they were like, we're trying. And the league are like, cool, we don't want any part of it. Disgusting. Again, always a hard turn to make, but one we're making regardless. Hopefully we can have a bit of fun with the rest of the show. First off, let's get this out the way, because it's not as heavy, but it's still kind of wild. One of the teams that they're considering Evander Kane, this is also reported on 32 Thoughts Hockey Night in Canada edition, the Capitals. This is kind of confusing because the Capitals, if you remember back to the bubble, funny enough, talking about that, it wasn't great for them. They were accused of partying in the bubble and not taking it very seriously. And they're looking to add Evander Kane, which is the thought, Ovi will settle him down.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard. Maybe I haven't been following the Capitals enough to know what has changed, but it just caught me off guard that the Capitals would be interested.
I in a way kind of saw it as like, just I guess based on where the guy is in his career, like off ice thing is always going to be there. But I think about two guys that not necessarily have the same background with things, but they were able to go to the Capitals and they were able to kind of reinvent themselves in terms of what they are on the ice. So in terms of actual controversy, it was Mike Richards when the LA Kings bought him out, and he managed to find a bit of a role again on the Capitals. So I think that's one comparison I make with Evander Kane. And I think the second one is a guy who just kind of been a bit of in a rut, and he's struggling now, but at the time it was good. And it was Brett Conley, where they were able to kind of get him, skilled guy, big body, and try to settle him down and just let him play his game. So for me, it's something where I'm like, the Capitals have done this before. So it's something that I think, is a possibility with Evander Kane.
May I explain why they're interested?
Sure.
Okay.
So the Caps obviously had a great start to the year. They've kind of faltered off a little bit because they fall into the wild card. They're going to make the playoffs. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. Do you know a certain who is this player? The last time I played was November 4th. Big acquisition, probably can score, big body.
Oh,
is the exact type of player Evander Kane is?
Is it?
And we're missing him.
Is it Anthony Mantha?
Anthony Mantha.
Oh wow, I didn't even know he was missing.
Yeah, he's been. The only reason I know that is because playing NHL with Mike, I'll get the Capitals and I have to put Mantha in. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty. Remember how I really think the Habs drafted Mayu because they had lost significant parts of their right defense, aka Fleury and Weber. Obviously, I don't agree with the Mayu thing. Never will. Same like I don't agree bringing Evander Kane in. But it's because he fits a role that the Capitals like to have in players. And I guess they think, Ovi will Listen, is Ovechkin going to scream it if he messes up? Yeah, he does it to everyone, but I still don't think he should have a roster spot. Okay, the rest of this for the show is going to be fun. It's Habs, it's Leafs, and it's talking about Team Canada. The full roster is expected to be revealed on Tuesday, that being reported by Jeff Merrick. And we have some of the names that we should expect to see. I'm going to read a Scott Wheeler tweet in a second because he also has some of them, but these are who Merrick talked about. Eric Stahl, Habs legend, love to see it. Owen Power, Mr. If they can get the World Juniors done in the summer, might be a member of triple gold before he hits the NHL. How funny is that? Devin Levi, famously from that Team Canada World Juniors last year, who lost to Cole Caulfield and the Americans. Kent Johnson, interesting name. Jack McBain, a guy playing, I think it was one, I forget which Michigan team it is. Mason McTavish, obviously big part of Team Canada at the World Juniors. And then from Scott Wheeler, sources I'm told the following players are among those who have been named to Team Canada's final men's Olympic hockey roster. Mentions Kent Johnson, mentions Eric Stahl already, Owen Power. Some other names here. Adam Cracknell, that's a guy who's just always around, isn't it?
Marley's legend.
Yeah. David Desharnais.
Wow.
My man.
The former first-line center of the Montreal Canadiens.
Him and Pacioretty were great together. Landon Ferraro, Daniel Winnick.
Wow. These are some names.
Habs legend Daniel Carr. Habs legend Mark Barberio. And Jason Demers. So I just want to point out that as of right now, there seems to be 4 former Canadians making the team. So say what you want, Bergevin could develop Olympic caliber talent. No, he couldn't. But Team Canada, it's starting to form up, guys.
I'm actually excited for this one because I mentioned it before where they went with just a lot of the KHL guys or other guys in other leagues last time. And it was a bit of an older roster. And then for some reason, it was a big thing when the Americans brought in Troy Terry. It's like, oh, is it a young guy? We don't know. But now it's like, just bring every top NCAA guy we have and put him on the roster.
Kind of silly. That was the thing against the Americans, I remember.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? But yeah, no, for the guy, obviously I know like we're talking about Cam, but you just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to move on.
I was just going to say, I like the idea of bringing guys. I don't know much about Kent Johnson, but in terms of Owen Power and Mason McTavish, well, Mason McTavish did have some NHL time, and I'm sure Owen Power is a former first overall pick, and I'm sure could step into the Buffalo Sabres right now with no issue. So I think sending these guys to the Olympics is going to be quite interesting.
Okay, I want to admit to something. Daniel, make your point again. I was looking at setting up the next segment, and I completely zoned out what Daniel was saying. Please say it again. I'm so sorry.
No problem. So when we looked back on Pyeongchang in 2018, and we looked at what Canada brought there, I was excited they had a lot of former guys that I grew up with, like, Voltek Volsky or Ben Scrivens. But the way they're trying to build this team now is there's a lot of upside there where you have what used to be kind of a controversial thing where it's like, oh, we're going to bring these young NCAA guys in to suddenly we're going to bring every top NCAA prospect there is on each team.
Okay. And so, that's what I thought you said, but I for a second, I thought you had mentioned the Americans as well. And I just basically.
I did. Because because Troy Terry was the example because when he was added onto the team, they're like, you're going to add this young guy. Or even Rasmus Dahlin, he was on the Swedish team and everyone was saying, like, oh, why are you bringing all these young guys? Now everyone is bringing their young guys.
I thought the Americans at Pyeongchang were criticized because they didn't bring enough NCAA guys. And then, I don't know how many Americans are even, like, how many great Americans are just hanging around Switzerland or something right now? I don't know. It's weird that Canada are taking so long, by the way, because the Americans have had their roster out forever. I can't wait for Eric Stahl to be the captain, by the way.
I'd love it because I think I've said this story before on the pod.
Yeah.
But remember, he was on the 2010 team.
Mm-hmm.
And then before the 2014 Olympics, he was on the Cheerios box, but he didn't make the Canadian team in 2014, but they jumped the gun and put him on the cereal box.
You better have gotten some royalties for that. Okay. But yeah, Canada, excited to see what happens there. Hopefully Caden Gooley makes the team. Oh, Siri, go away. I don't want to talk to you. Okay. Whoops. It's gone. Moving on.
We'll talk later, Siri.
Oh, Daniel?
We will talk later to Siri. Don't worry.
I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
What? Oh,
I'm scared.
Can you
Alex,
hear me?
talk?
Can you see
goodness
me
gracious.
now?
No, well, you're
Ooh.
good, Daniel.
Ooh, my mic isn't working for some reason. Oh, I've muted myself. I muted my mic as I turned Siri off. Hi, guys. I'm
Can
trying
you
to
hear
say-
us now?
Yes, I can.
Sorry,
That's-
Siri.
That was
Sari's
intense.
retribution. That's what
Oh,
happens.
Siri
We'll
ruined-
talk to Siri later.
I want Cortana or the weapon if you played Halo Infinite. Great game.
Alex, we haven't played it yet, right? No.
It's free with Game Pass. Play it.
I don't have Game Pass.
It's
I have to
50
buy it
bucks
again.
a month.
I know, but I don't even play. I haven't turned my Xbox.
Okay,
on
so
in
this is
3
like-
months.
I'm playing.
Throwing it off here, but like, I remember like it was really fun for a few months, and then with Game Pass, I'm like, I got really busy. Then like, oh my gosh, like this is actually kind of a waste of money for
Mhm.
a few months.
Well, let's talk about the Leafs.
Sure.
They
Let's
didn't
get
blow a
that.
lead.
Oh.
They had
That's
originally.
first.
Alex had a funny. What was it? 4 blown leads in 5 games on the road trip. Or something like
Yeah, that was when they played the Rangers. That was just
Yeah.
an awesome night.
And Sheldon Keefe basically called out the team for being soft and having no purpose.
I have never seen a coach like a Maple Leafs coach. And I'm just trying to think of the coaches I've seen. Ron Wilson, Peter Horacek, Randy Carlisle.
Yes, there it is, the legend.
I think what Sheldon
Mike
Keefe
Babb-
did was
Yeah.
take a lesson out of his former coach. I think he was coached by Tortorella before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where he got it from.
This was this is the tweet, but if you hear him say it, it's even funnier. We got exposed today for being a team that was just soft and purposeless, and just kind of playing the game hoping it was going to work out.
Can I tell you something about that? When I heard that,
Tell me.
everything I saw on Twitter where they just emphasized soft, and then people said never forget 2013 Game 7. That Randy Carlisle, like in the final 5 minutes of the third period, rolled out Fraser McLaren and Colton Orr.
Certainly, that's tough in one way or another.
I thought it wasn't worse than putting Patrick Marleau or like 40-year-old Patrick Marleau out there in the last 2 minutes against Boston in 2019, 2018.
I had another one. I had another one there that sorry, because you mentioned Randy Carlisle.
Yeah.
I remember his third pairing was Corbinian Holzer and Keith Ollie.
Holzer was in this league far longer than he should have been. Because Anaheim were just like, here you go.
Yes. Now they have that with Habs legend Nick Delorier.
Yeah, he's around. That's weird. By the way, shout out to Corey Perry finally getting his return game.
Oh my gosh. I have the story. I have the story there.
Okay.
This is a funny story because the Ducks put a video where it's like he didn't get to play last time, but he greeted us in the locker room on his first return back to Anaheim. And it's because he was suspended from the Winter Classic for 5 games. So he didn't actually make his first return to the Ducks when he was a Dallas Star because of the suspension. So the video is literally him walking into the Ducks locker room, just shaking everybody's hand, and he's in a suit.
I hope they did something properly for that game. I didn't watch it.
They did. It was a really nice tribute. He got a standing ovation. Even prior to the game, during like the warm-ups, everyone had their Corey Perry stuff on the ice. Like everybody, like on the ice, on like they were just showing it. And
About to
that was
say,
nice.
things turned around really quickly in Anaheim, then throwing things on the ice.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I mentioned it before the pod, but it's one of those moments you're like, your childhood is truly over when you see Getzlaf and Perry skating beside each other in different jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And obviously he didn't get to go last year because he played in the Canadian division.
Yeah.
Never forget. Oh, I miss him so much. But no, good for him. Going back to the Leafs, though.
Yes. Which
The
game
game
do you want
against-
to talk about?
Well, I think the Islanders game sort of negates. We can talk about Sandin if you want. Obviously, I don't think that pairing was great against the Rangers in the back half of it. Obviously, I didn't get to watch the Islanders game because Montreal and Colorado were having some fun. But we can talk about that first. Afterwards, I just want to talk about Mrazek And I
Sure.
want to talk about Islanders and Leafs fans for a little bit. Also, I have a hypothetical I want to ask you guys that
The
I put in
best-
the doc and probably should have forgotten to
The
take it
best
off and
fa-
surprise you with. But
the
yeah.
best fan bases in the league.
Yeah, no, I think one of them is being a bit dramatic, and it's not the Islanders fans. But I'll talk
Ooh.
about that in a second.
I've seen
Wait a second. Leaf fans being dramatic? That's
Yeah.
not a thing.
I don't
So,
think they get enough attention, the Leafs, on Twitter.
Alex. I mean, Dan,
Yeah.
please don't. So let's just
Okay,
talk
let's
to me
talk.
about
Let's talk.
Sandin and Liljegren. Were they better in the second game? The Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team as a whole was better in the second game. Like, I think those two in particular had a rough night against the Rangers, as did that third pairing of Travis Dermott and Alex Biega. Like, my lord. But I think going into the Islanders game, a lot of the players responded quite well to that quote from Sheldon Keefe, is what I think I'll say. Was it a perfect game? No. Is any game ever perfect unless you're the Tampa Bay Lightning? Probably not. But I just think it was such a much better outing than the Rangers and, their last few games. Like, it's just, I understand teams blow leads. It was just extremely frustrating to watch a team of this caliber blow lead after lead after lead in like 4 of 5 games. And the one game they didn't blow lead was against the second worst team in the NHL. That's why it was a concerning stretch.
Yeah, I think, for the way the Islanders played this year, I know they're not necessarily at the level they were for the last 2 years, but still a good team. So for me, it was a good indication that they took the quote in stride and they were able to keep a lead against a generally good quality team. So I'm not saying that this is going to end everything, but it is a good stop from what happened from the previous games, even the ones they won, like St. Louis.
It's always a moral victory for that team if you beat the Islanders at home. I forget about how good or bad the Islanders have been this year. It's a big win to stand up for your captain. Obviously, the relationship that's going on there. A note on Peter Mrazek. He gets easily his best performance, aka they won, and his save percentage was in the 9s.
I think last time Peter Mrazek played, I came on the podcast and I said it was just difficult to watch. Not because he's a bad goalie, but because he's all over the place. He was not all over the place last night. I felt somewhat calm.
Was it the change in equipment?
I don't know what it was, Daniel. It might have been the change in
pads.
equipment, but I just felt at ease in terms of goaltending last night.
So we could finally say John Tavares is better than Matt Barzal based on what I was seeing on Twitter in terms of the stats this year.
Okay. First
Yeah,
off,
this year I think so. Yes.
No, that was the thing that was circulating where they said like we don't need him, and then they showed those stats.
well,
I'm not saying I support that. I'm just saying that was the example of what Adam was saying about Leafs fans on Twitter.
I mean, see, here's the simple fact is, okay, Tavares is, what, we'll see how Barzal's career. Barzal's wicked. Not a great year, but you know what? Under an offensive coach, I would love to see what Barzal can do, but it's been a bad year. Tavares very well could be. Barzal not yet hasn't proven it, but Tavares could easily be a Hall of Famer at the end of his career.
What?
Okay,
Wait, say that again.
Tavares could be a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
If you want, I had people in my family ask me, he's like, who has a better shot of getting in, Price or Tavares? I said, Price.
Price.
Why? I'm like, neither have a cup. Price has individual hardware. Tavares doesn't.
Oh yeah, is that like
that's simple?
Wait, is that like a question, a popular question?
No,
that
no.
Oh,
It was
okay.
Okay. I'm like,
Okay,
is that being
I'm like,
circulated?
I think my mom asked him, like,
Oh, okay.
Price.
I'm like, oh my god, yes.
I'd
no,
love
Price.
to see Tavares' MVP and Lou Marsh. Oh wait,
Oh, there's a controversial one I saw. It's like who would get in? Who would get in first? Carey Price or Corey Crawford?
no,
That's the one I saw online before.
I don't want to talk about that because Crawford might get in, but Price should be there before. I'd be very mad if Crawford got in before Carey Price. No offense, respect the Cups. Debate for another day.
Yeah, Corey
Anyway.
Perry should get in before Jeff Carter.
I have to look at their individual career. Well, probably Perry. He's an MVP.
Yeah,
And all that.
Rocket
Perry could-
Richard.
Yeah,
Two
yeah,
gold
Perry-
medals.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, Perry should definitely be up there. Is he a triple gold club? Does he have a World Junior?
Yeah, he is.
Cup
Yeah,
and a World
he has
Cup?
World Junior.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was the captain of the team when they won the gold medal of the World Championships.
Man, if you say Brendan Gallagher shouldn't be the captain and Corey Perry was the one at one time, then maybe we stop having that. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about mainly, because the thing I saw really when the backlash to Twitter from last night's Leafs game wasn't that they won. It was the Islanders crowd. Okay, guys, I want to talk about this for a second. Because first off, Daniel, you mentioned the "we don't need you" thing. Obviously, the comparison has been made that Tavares hasn't won a playoff round since leaving the Isles. The Islanders have been to 2 conference championships. They've pushed Tampa to 7. Very well, if they had gotten past them, could have beaten Montreal. It's realistic. Okay. I find it a little rich that the same night the joke going around was we didn't blow a 3-1 lead, that they are making fun of Islanders fans for continuing to boo the guy who walked away. I just thought that's a little rich. And I don't have
Welcome
a dog
to hockey.
I thought that was little. I'm like, okay, let's get our priorities straight here, guys.
I've just given up on hockey fans. I just think there were hypocrites all around that. Like, what's the point of even talking about it? It's just, it's
Matthews
quite
left,
hypocritical.
right?
Yes.
Matthews isn't going to leave for Arizona. But if he did, the exact same way Tavares did,
yep,
he would be upset.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm not denying. I'm not arguing.
You're a level-headed Leafs fan.
I'm saying I think we as hockey fans, and I think the 3 of us know this, but like there's the group I'm talking to in each fan base is just so hypocritical that like it doesn't surprise me what comes out of hockey Twitter anymore. It's just exhausting.
There's a reason why the Islanders fans are so great. Like, listen, there could be a superstar one day. Like, I love Kotkaniemi. I love the fact he scored the Game 6 goal. I'm going to boo him if I see him in person. I have a Pacioretty jersey. I'm going to boo him in person because I don't like the way they left the team. Kotkaniemi, they screwed around with him. He signed an offer sheet. Again, Alex has admitted, Matthews, with the grace of everything behind him, he still left in that situation. He left. I don't get on John Tavares. I respect how he not how he left because he probably should have let them know, but it was his choice. I respect that, and I respect the Islanders fans for having their right to chant what they want. If you want to call him a snake, call him a snake. He left. I would be mad too. I'm mad that he didn't give Montreal a meeting. You think I feel bad that they beat the Leafs? No, I felt great about it. I don't feel great that Tavares got hurt. Obviously, I'm not that guy. I don't feel bad that the Leafs lost because they're one of their best players didn't give my team the time of day. That's just being a fan. Get over it. It's like calling Islanders fans childish. This is sports. Come on.
It always happens.
Well, I think I will stick up for some Leaf fans here because I think I must. I think this is just, let's remember what Islanders fans have done in the past. I'm not saying they've don't get it wrong. They are childish. So are Leaf fans.
Pajama boy.
But they all, and it's not pajamas. It's sheets, man. Use your eyes, but whatever. I just think, listen, every fan base calls every other fan base childish. Like, to me, it's just, that's my defense. I don't have a defense. I'm just here.
So I'm ripping on Leafs fans, but to make Islanders fans feel a little bad. They've won a cup by now if he didn't leave, right? With what Barry Trotz did to that team.
Oh yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Barzal, Tavares, Eberly there. They
for sure.
They're cup champ. Okay. No, that Islanders fans. You can boo them. I'd boo them too because I think they would have won with them. 100%.
I think there's for sure. I don't even know how to debate that.
I like to say that we could move on after this, but just to a much, much lesser extent. I was angry when Justin Schultz didn't sign with Anaheim.
100%.
He used the NCAA loop, even though he promised that he was going to sign with the team after university.
Man, do you think if Jordan Harris leaves Montreal, I'm not going to be upset about it? The moment they drafted Paling and Caulfield, I was scared they would leave via the NCAA thing. I'm worried about it to this day. When he got sent down, I was worried I was going to leave, and I wouldn't blame him for the way Montreal handled him this year. I would still say I'd still be upset. I'd still boo him when he came back because he wanted to go. There's a pride in having for being a fan, and the Islanders are just one of those fan bases that they're prideful. Sarah, the Leafs, I would much rather the Islanders boo players and have that sort of zest behind them than a dead arena. Arizona.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay. So the deadline's coming up. I think David Pagnotta was saying that the Leafs are trying to move on from some players. We already know they're trying to clear up room. Who are some targets that they could go after at the trade deadline? And I will not mention a certain number 8 in Montreal.
I think it's quite, in my eyes, I think we had this conversation a couple months ago, actually, when they were like at the peak of when they were good. I think no matter what, they need at least 2 defensemen.
I agree. Yeah.
I think they need to find a way to bring in a right-handed top 4 defenseman, which is difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. Like, I think, no offense to Justin Hall, just put someone else next to Jake Muzzin. I think we were talking about, has Jake Muzzin, is he overcompensating for Justin Hall not being Justin Hall? I think that's a factor. And if you put a legitimate piece or a better piece next to Jake Muzzin, it'll work both ways. Jake Muzzin will look better, and Jake Muzzin also won't have to overcompensate. They also need a 7th defenseman that's not Carl Dahlstrom or Alex Biega.
I had 2 examples when it came to that because I agreed that they need 2 defensemen, and I know this is probably pretty difficult to do, but I thought of buying low on Eric Brandstrom for the Leafs. I don't know why I thought that.
Melnick does not. You know what? I'll let you finish.
Because like they haven't developed him properly. He has been in the doghouse quite a few times, and I think that in maybe a reduced role and probably just getting more guidance in terms of playing with more vets, I think that would work out. And I know I said Edmonton, but I'm like, I wouldn't mind if Mark Giordano, like 50% retained somehow, goes to the Leafs as like a rental.
Well, you talk about who's a guy that has a different sort of game to play with Muzzin, and he's right-handed. I'm like, oh, okay, John Klingberg. That's
okay.
That's just a lot.
One.
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
But they need to win around.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I just didn't think John Klingberg, like, from what I read,
probably going to Carolina.
Number 1, he's probably going to Carolina. But I think they need someone who's very defensive minded. I have an absolute name in mind. I don't think it's going to happen.
I just thought of the cost too with like Klingberg, because like in terms of the money, in terms of the security, and for an impact player like that, I expect the Leafs to. We brought it up before, but maybe a Rodion Amirov has to be traded in that situation.
I don't think Klingberg's value is at that point. I think Dallas may have pinched it a bit, benching him. I don't think you're giving up Amirov. I think if you were signing and extending him, which I don't see the Leafs doing, but maybe it'd be a bit different. And Alex, who's your big name?
It's not a big name. It's just a name that I think would fit perfectly.
You say Josh Manson, I'm quitting the call.
I know it's not going to happen, but like I think that's for me. If you have Riley, Brody, Muzzin, Manson, I don't hate that. Like, I don't hate that at all. It's just, I don't think it's realistic that Anaheim sells him at the deadline.
So here's the thing with Anaheim, right? They're in the chase. So if I'm Anaheim, the next step in a guy like Trevor Zegras is to get him playoff games, right?
Yep.
Same with John Gibson. He's been around a while. He's played in the playoffs before, but you know what I mean? You want to get him, prove to him that we're competitive, right? They go on a run. I know there's the St. Louis approach of, maybe we see what we could get for a Lindholm and a Manson. If I'm Anaheim, man, I'm going for it. Like, I'm not going to pay stupid prices to bring a guy in, but if I'm them, I'm going for it, damn it. I think the players have earned it.
Oh, for sure.
But no, that would be, that's so Leafs Twitter. I love it. Giordano's there. I do have Eric Brandstrom on the very preliminary version of the big board. Every time I say that word, I can just sense the guys just sit back. I'm like, is he going to pull it off? Okay. The Habs. They allowed, I think it was 50 shots in their last 3 games. The first 2 was like that. Then it was around 40 something against Colorado. They fought back against Colorado, to be honest. Wasn't a great first period. They were just clearly getting outskated by a better team. Fight back, but ultimately the Avs. I guess it's really funny. So Caden Primo's first ever game was against the Colorado Avalanche. 3-2 overtime loss. Gabriel Landeskog scores the game winner. Last night was at the game. I never shut up about it. Last night, Caden Primo, over 40 saves, sensational. Loses 3-2 in overtime to the Colorado Avalanche. And Gabriel Landeskog scores the goal. Love to see it. But it's just some quick stuff with Montreal. Jake Allen's out 8 weeks. Great.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So for Sam Mottenbow is out for now. We don't exactly know what's up with him.
So who are the goalies? Primo and
McNiven.
Wow,
Is McNiven gonna actually play this time?
He will get his chance. He will get his chance.
I want him to get. Maybe it was a new regime. Hopefully. And there's another goalie. This is the update to do with Carey Price. He should be back on the ice training in around 2 weeks. Everything is going to plan. He wants to play this season. Hope is that swelling won't reappear in his knee. I want to say McNiven's seen ECHL time. Everyone's gone. Obviously, Gallagher and Byron are apparently waiting for the team to come back from the road trip because they've also been on a massive trip like the Leafs have.
Yeah.
2 things I really want to talk about here is, first off, I think since the Dallas game, these have probably been some of the more interesting stretches because Montreal, at least, you've seen a lot of effort, a lot of jump in their step. 2 players that I think are really showing that they want to be on the team. And I think there's a serious debate going on if you keep one of them. The other one you probably hold on to. He's probably going to be captain because it's actually been Kent Hughes was doing media and confirmed the Habs will have a new captain next year. Nick Suzuki. My voice just gave out going to the key. Suzuki. The other guy is Tyler Toffoli, who he's finally back from his injury. He's looked great. I thought he was a bit disengaged from the start of the year. I guess the injury was worse than we thought. Toffoli is a very interesting case because if you're Montreal, you don't go scorched earth because I don't think you need to. But I wonder how do you measure the value of keeping? And I don't think you have to trade Toffoli this year. He'll have 2 years next year. So if you want to really optimize the value, maybe you do it then. Or if it's a draft move, he's probably not gone at the deadline. But it's at least encouraging around Montreal to see that there are players clearly playing to show they want to be there in a time where we're halfway through the season and it feels like it's watching death on skates sometimes. It's, as a fan, when you look for the positives in a very negative season, there's encouragement there, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
I think Mike Hoffman wouldn't be captain.
No.
Okay.
I
Cast
think
him into the sun.
I think it is important that you want guys who want to be there. Like I saw Josh Anderson had a quote last week saying he came to Montreal to win and he will stick it out. I think something was the quote. I don't know. Obviously he's injured now, but the idea that players do want to be there despite this is a good sign in terms of moving forward for the future. Like guys want to be here to help with the buildup. I want to ask, I was curious about Suzuki though, not like the whole captain thing. I want to phrase this question carefully because we've seen young captains before. Do you think he is ready is my question.
I think you're going to see a lot the rest of this season to show his maturity. He's always been the guy that some of the other members of the team have said he's always there when we're down bad. Right. He's always been a strong guy there. You wish it was a year later they would make that decision because next year is when his contract kicks in. What that pressure is going to be like. Hopefully he performs better than he did for me in NHL 22 where I traded him because he didn't have a point for 2 rounds of the playoffs. -4, stripped him of the sea and then sent him into the sun. Signed Sebastian Aho. Anyway, Well, here's the thing. If you're thinking about who can be captain of the Montreal Canadiens, I think two obvious answers come to mind. One is Suzuki, and the other one, well, it depends on his future, is Brendan Gallagher. Gallagher, I think, would be ready. It's just, I would see it's better to move him, in my opinion. So is Suzuki ready? I think you'll see how he handles the downstretch of the year to determine that. Maybe what the Habs are thinking that exact same thing. But you also got to remember is when Kent Hughes did his media availability and he was asked about, the team in general and the roster, he mentioned two players by name about interesting pieces, Caulfield and Suzuki. So he's in their mind. Suzuki's a good player.
Right.
And he's a confident dude. Doesn't seem like a lot bothers him too much. He's a great two-way player. We'll see. I can't say for now, obviously, but I think you see very much by the end of the year.
I agree. I think if they're going to go the long-term approach of something and just have a guy who's going to be a foundational piece for them, I could see Nick Suzuki taking the C now and having two very strong assistant captains in Tyler Toffoli, Josh Anderson. Even put in Brendan Gallagher there too if he's not moved. So amidst the season, I like that this type of news is coming out, that you have these guys that want to stay, that love the rich history and the culture of the team. So I think that that's a good thing that's in place for now.
I think what they have to be careful of is, Anderson, I feel like Anderson, he gets ripped on a lot from outside Montreal. I don't get it. Anderson, I think you could move him because people worship the ground that type of player walks on. Gallagher, you can move. You're probably have to take some salary back. Toffoli, I don't think would be a problem. If they all want to stay, that's great. But I think at some point you have to make. If Ben Sherratt says he wants to stay, that sucks. You're going. I swear, if they don't trade him. I just got to think. I hope that Kent Hughes realizes at some point, and I think Jeff Gordon probably will make sure this happens because he obviously saw what happened in New York, being a good team but wanting to be truly great. They got to move some people. I think Jonathan Drouin needs to be gone at the draft. Just get him a new start. And I think there were more changes than we realized coming in Montreal. There's whispers they may have a new jersey next year. If it's an alternative jersey after the whole kerfuffle with that blue retro reverse, I'm surprised. I wonder if they try and spice up one of their home ones, or the home one, because I think they've changed the logo twice in history. It just feels like I wonder if off the ice there's a lot really changing in Montreal, philosophically. I wonder if they're going to be a much, much different team.
From above Jeff Gordon, from Molson downwards, or do you think from
workplace,
a hockey management perspective?
Everywhere. I feel like there's going to be a complete change in culture around the organization. And just it's that kind of feeling. I think it's needed. Yeah. I look at the Hurricanes and the Storm Surge. I'm like, how fun is it to just be around that team? And I wonder if Kent Hughes is sort of having a goal if that's what I want to be. Because, obviously Gordon talked a lot about hockey and the sort of building the analytics department and all that.
Right.
Kent Hughes has talked a lot about workplace and open-mindedness and that. I just saw that's interesting. He's been very much a culture guy, if you know what I mean. And much different from Bergevin. There's always hockey culture, and it was just you didn't do anything, my man. So we're not going to see a lot of that change overnight, and even on the public face of it. But there's already stuff changing. Again, Chantal Machambe. Apparently, it was revealed that France Margaret Bellinger, obviously was given a much bigger role in the Canadiens organization over the summer, were indeed behind the aesthetic of the press conference. So you can tell things are changing. Things are changing very, very quickly. But I'm just saying, there feels like there's a culture change coming in Montreal. And it's welcome. You respect traditions, don't get rid of Fixie or Michel Lacroix, but let's just say, it feels like we're really going to know what the Montreal Canadiens are about soon.
Brighter days are coming.
Yeah. Maybe not on the ice for a couple of years, but we'll take it off the ice. Just make
What's that quote again? it's so good that it hurts, but like that's the good thing about a retool and a rebuild.
Hey, yeah, man. I mean, just be competitive, get a good pick in Montreal, and life is good. That's everything.
Before we end, I have an update.
It's not everything.
Breaking news? No.
It's not breaking. Well, I mean, I guess it's like an hour old, but
Scale
I
of
just
1
saw
to
it.
10. How significant?
I'm not sure. It's just it's a statement from the Jacksonville Icemen, a new one.
Oh,
So this is from their CEO, Andy Kaufman.
ooh, okay.
To be clear, our core values as an ownership group include one love and zero tolerance for racism or any other forms of hate against any group whatsoever. The platform that is the Jacksonville Icemen is one that is more than just about hockey to us as a group. It is about using this platform to spread not only our love for hockey, but our love for the community and for each other. Though the investigation and review is ongoing at the league level, the Jacksonville Icemen will be releasing the player involved effective immediately and will continue our mission of sharing our love of community and hockey. On behalf of the entire Iceman organization, we apologize to anyone who was offended and look forward to beginning the process of healing together as one. Thank you.
Can you read like the first 5 words again?
To be clear, our core.
That was it. You know you messed up when you have to start with to be clear. So they've released the kid, eh? Well, not the kid, but they released the player.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to reiterate my mistake of saying that he was just going to get a slap on the wrist previously.
Yeah.
A slap on the and he's gone.
No, but I don't think you were wrong, Daniel. You know what I mean? Like, how many times in the past?
How many? I wonder how many games he'll take. Because I'm assuming he'll still get an ECHL suspension. So if somebody's stupid enough to sign him, how long? Or maybe he'll just get a ban if they're smart. But that's a good start. You said that was the Rangers organization, like a few steps down, right?
Yep.
That's good. That's good. All right. That's pretty significant. All right. Good catch. Good catch. All right. Thank you for listening. Don't give us too hard of a time that we forgot to draft Nathan McKinnon. Whatever. Let us know when you see them who has the best team, by the way, because we are all very competitive. Thank you for listening, by the way. Anyway, download the show wherever you listen to your podcast. We're everywhere. VoiceHead, great platform as always. Check out the show on YouTube as well to see a video. Well, it's the show, but you see our faces. Video. I always say video portion. It's not a portion. It's the whole thing. Out the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Great stuff. And check out our own social medias. My YouTube channel, Daniel Stepper, CGRU, Alex's blog. One last thing. Patrick Talon jinxed the Coyotes because they were up 3-1. Then the Rangers scored 6 straight goals. And I was really sad about it. And I let him know that he jinxed them. Anyway, goodbye.
Bye.